Take a look at this. On your screen right now are two combat entities separated by over 500 years of human history. On one side, the M1 Abrams main battle tank, the undisputed pinnacle of modern armored warfare and mechanized firepower. And on the other, emerging from the thick, iron-gray mists of the 16th century, is the Geobukseon, the legendary turtle ship of the Choson Dynasty, year 1592. Do you see the staggering connection in their fundamental architecture? I am not speaking in hyperbole. When I first laid my high-tech digital calipers and modern systems analysis tools over these ancient weathered schematics, my heart rate spiked. Most historians see only a primitive wooden boat of the Middle Ages. But under the clinical gaze of a weapons systems analyst, I tell you with absolute certainty, this is not just a ship. This is the world's first fully enclosed armored combat module. It is a 360-degree cage of suppression, the ancestor of the modern tank. How did a pre-industrial civilization calculate the physics and hydrostatics that we once believed only modern supercomputers could solve? Let us dissect this mechanical beast together, right now. To understand the birth of this machine, we must first understand the creators, the Choson Dynasty. This was a brilliant, highly organized civilization, often forgotten in the shadows of its larger neighbors. Yet it possessed a hidden, sophisticated engineering nucleus. In the year 1592, the Korean peninsula stood on the absolute brink of total annihilation. The Japanese Navy had landed with a fleet of thousands and tens of thousands of battle-hardened musketeers. They utilized the famous Sengoku naval doctrine: grapple, board, and overwhelm with superior melee combat, a tactic that had dominated East Asian waters for decades. Choson faced an existential crisis. But in the darkest hour of human adversity, intelligence evolves at an exponential rate. Admiral Yi Sun-sin and his genius shipwrights did not choose to build bigger ships than the enemy. They chose to build smarter ships, ships that possessed absolute defensive superiority. The Choson people were masters of gunpowder, mathematics, and metallurgy. They understood a fundamental rule of warfare that remains true today. To defeat a melee-focused enemy, you must deploy a mobile, impenetrable firing platform. The Geobukseon was the culmination of that logic, a fusion of advanced physics and the sheer will of a nation to survive.
In 1592,
it was an engineering hard counter to an entire empire. Let us talk about the raw numbers. Because in the clinical world of ballistics and naval architecture, numbers never lie. The Geobukseon measures approximately 34.2 meters in length with a beam of 10.3 meters. In naval science, this 1:3 ratio is considered a golden ratio. It provides incredible hydrostatic stability, allowing the massive wooden hull to stand firm and maintain its center, even when 36 heavy cannons fire a simultaneous broadside. With a total displacement of 180 tons, most of its mass sits strategically below the waterline. This creates an extremely low center of gravity, identical to how we design the heavy, low-slung chassis of a modern tank to prevent flipping during combat or when absorbing massive recoil. The armor is the most striking achievement in material science. The hull is made of aged pine, treated with specialized techniques and reaching a thickness of 12 centimeters. In our modern ballistic simulations, this treated timber absorbs and nullifies the kinetic energy of 16th century musketry in exactly the same way that modern composite armor protects an Abrams. Furthermore, Choson engineers used wooden joinery instead of iron nails. When submerged, these wooden pegs swell, locking the entire hull into a singular, rigid, and virtually indestructible unit. It was a floating fortress of pine and fire. What shocks me most as a systems analyst is the tiered modular structure. an incredibly modern concept of combat space management. Tier 1, the lower deck, acts as the
Everything had a
logistics
purpose.
hub and ammunition
No
magazine.
wasted cubic inch
Placing hundreds of
space.
stone and iron cannonballs here isn't just for storage. It acts as a vital, active ballast system, keeping the ship stable during heavy storms or violent impacts. Tier 2 is the propulsion deck. With 80 rowers protected entirely behind thick timber, they could operate regardless of wind direction or sail damage. While the enemy was dependent on the mercy of the wind, the Geobukseon could pivot 360 degrees on the spot, turning like a modern mechanized tank turret. And finally, there is Tier 3, the dedicated gun deck. Here, cannons are positioned at a low height near the waterline. Why? Because that is the optimal ballistic trajectory to breach the lower hull of an enemy ship, causing catastrophic flooding. This modular separation ensures that even if the top combat deck is under heavy fire or obscured by smoke, the propulsion and ammunition stores below remain functional. This is the very definition of high survivability and redundancy in modern military engineering. Every cubic inch was optimized for a specific lethal function. Now, look at the most iconic and menacing part, the dragon head. Many mistake it for mere spiritual decoration or psychological theater. They are wrong. From a technical lens, the dragon head is a multi-purpose weapon system. Inside sits a heavy Cheonja cannon for direct frontal fire. But more sophisticated is the integrated sulfur smoke generator. By burning a specific chemical mixture inside the head, the Choson created the world's first chemical smoke screen at sea, effectively cloaking the ship and masking its tactical movements from the enemy's sight. Next, observe the curved roof covered in thousands of hand-forged iron spikes. In modern military terminology, we call this an early active protection system. It completely nullified the primary strength of the Japanese Navy, the boarding tactic. A samurai cannot fight on a roof covered in iron spikes and hard timber. Choson engineers even covered these spikes with straw mats for camouflage, turning the roof into a lethal trap.
We begin with the basic stone
Combined
wall,
with rear-facing
effective
cannons
but
to
crude.
clear dead zones
Then came
and
the
a
heavier
massive
iron
reinforced
shot
rudder for
fueled
rapid
weight
maneuvering. The Geobukseon was an entity with no weaknesses. It charged into enemy fleets like a mechanical ball of fire, breathing smoke and unleashing hell from every direction. It was a masterpiece of kinetic and chemical suppression. When I placed the turtle ship next to modern defense systems like the CIWS or a Leopard 2 tank, the evolutionary link is undeniable. The Choson philosophy of thick armor, concentrated firepower, and total crew protection is the foundation of every armored vehicle in service today. We take pride in our 21st century inventions, but we are simply refining the laws of combat physics that Choson engineers perfected 500 years ago. They understood how to use geometry to deflect kinetic energy, how to utilize chemistry for concealment, and how to optimize human power for mobile firepower. The Geobukseon proved a timeless truth. Size or numbers do not determine the victor. It is technical logic and creativity in the face of adversity that are the ultimate weapons. This ship turned the vast ocean into its own playground, defeating hundreds of enemy vessels while remaining structurally sound. It was a legend born in an age of wood, yet it possessed the soul of steel and fire. It was the pioneer of armor that would not be seen again for centuries. The dossier on the Geobukseon closes for now, but the secrets of the Choson civilization and its lost technologies are vast. Would you believe that in the 15th century, they also possessed a multi-stage rocket artillery system capable of launching hundreds of fire arrows simultaneously? That is the Hwacha, and it will be the subject of our next file in this journey to uncover forgotten civilizations and their mechanical genius. If you find this connection between ancient history and modern warfare as fascinating as I do, hit the like and subscribe buttons to join our quest. I am your systems analyst, and I will see you in the next deep dive into the archives of ancient weaponry. Remember, the future is always written in the pages of a past we have only begun to understand. Goodbye for now.